Hi, Jeff Frey here, President and CEO, Southland Regional Chamber of Commerce here today. Continuing our candidate conversations, we're sitting down with Mellissa Johnson. Mellissa is a candidate for a large seat on the Mishawaka School Board. Mellissa, thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure.
Great. So, Mellissa, we're doing these really to just try to give our folks a chance to get to know candidates better. Obviously, COVID has changed things with gatherings and forums and stuff like this. So we're using this forum to help get to know them a little bit better. So although you know many people in Mishawaka already, in case there are some that don't know you very well, how about you touch a little bit on kind of your background and experience?
Okay, so my name is Mellissa Johnson, and I've been around Mishawaka pretty much since I was a little kid. About 7 years old, I moved into the school city Mishawaka area. So I went to Mary Phillips, John Young, graduated Mishawaka High School in '96. Kind of didn't really leave the area, bought a house, got married, and started raising my own family here. I currently have 4 children. My oldest, Jared, is 20. He is in the young adult program that's ran through School City Mishawaka, which is an awesome program. I have a daughter that is in 7th grade right now, John Young, one at Beaker, and then my baby is 11 months. So I still have many years in School City Mishawaka schools. About a decade ago, maybe a little longer, I just started volunteering in my local school. I've been a stay-at-home mom for years, and as the kids started older, I had a little more time on my hands when 2 of them were in school. So I just started really helping out at Beaker. For the last at least 10 years, I have been a part of the Beaker PTA. That has led me to other positions. I have been on the council of Mishawaka PTAs. I also stepped out of my zone a little bit, and I still am serving on the res board for Mishawaka as well. So I kind of touch all the areas of the city, but in a smaller scale. I do like nature, so that's kind of what led me to the res. Of course, I spent all my time with my children, so that led me to PTA. I mean, most people would know me from that. Other than that, I don't get out of the house that much. I'm raising my children here is what I'm doing.
Great. Well, thank you, Mellissa. I appreciate that. And thank you for the different things you're doing to help in the schools and at the res. Great Mishawaka organizations there. So talk a little bit about, seeking a position on the school board requires a big commitment for, family and such like that. So talk about what inspired you to put your name on the ballot and seek this seat.
What inspired me was I just don't see enough parents getting involved anymore. I really don't. Being on the PTA for as long as I have, that's been the biggest problem. Is we think we don't have the volunteers. Our parents are working, our parents are busy, and our parents aren't paying attention to the things that are going on within the schools, really, because they're so used to just taking them there and things are supposed to be okay. Not saying that we have a lot of issues, but over the years, I kind of started going to school board meetings, just kind of listening into what was going on. And the more I was there, the more I questioned things as they were going on. I actually worked a couple of times on the 2 different referendums to try to get those passed and really worked towards explaining to parents what was going on because they were oblivious. Other than what they heard in news clips, nobody took the time to actually read any of it. And so I kind of went on my way to really encourage that you read this section, you understand what this is about, that these were things worth getting involved in and getting behind for our kids. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We want a community of happily, eagerly learning children is what we want. We want them to be able to succeed. That's the only way we can do that is working together.
Great. So as a parent in particular, you've seen children or you've seen your own children sort of experience the different things in the school corporations. So it's kind of giving you a front row seat to what's happening there. Talk a little bit about maybe the any challenges you see, for the corporation that you as a school board member would need to, pay close attention to. And on the flip side, sort of any opportunities too that you see out there that could be something that schools take advantage of.
As far as the negatives, I think we need to look back at, like, one of my bigger components is the special education department. Between my son being a part of the special education department all the way through, I mean, we did get him through his certificate of achievement through Mishawaka. And he being part of the young adult program, over all these years, I've noticed how much effort and work really goes into those kids. And it's such a small number of kids. But when you look at the number of children that are actually on an IEP, meaning that they are getting some sort of service, some sort of support, we're not properly funding that department. And I don't necessarily think it's all City of Mishawaka's fault. I think that we do the best we can with what we're given. And I think that's where it comes down to, we need to go back to try working with the state to get more funding for these things that are going to be very priority as numbers increase with kids that are having different abilities and need the extra resources. On the flip side, the things I do think we're doing really well, I'm really happy with some of the programs that are going on at the high school. Everything from the early college programs are absolutely wonderful for those kids that are incredibly achieving, but not every kid is incredibly achieving. So I love that we have the partnership with the Elkhart Career Center. And I think the main idea that we need to keep working towards is that a lot of our kids are not going to be college bound. I mean, that's just a reality at the end of the day. It is a big financial burden for any child or any family to take on. So I think that we need to work with partnerships within our own city even, looking at mentorships and internships that these children can go and study and try to get an idea of being job ready at the end of the day is what we would like to see too coming out of the high school, not necessarily just college ready.
Great, thank you. So one of the tasks that the school board is really to sort of set the vision, for the corporation. So think about that for a second. What kind of vision for the corporation do you have?
That is a really good question, and kind of a tough one too. I really like the idea of it being a community partnership. I see so many different entities that they could all be working together between business partners, city departments, and along with the school. And I really think that in order to build a strong community of students and student leaders, that we need to get those groups to really work together continuously. I think a lot of the people that live here want to end up staying here, to be honest. Mishawaka is a great little town to live in. We're not being too big. We're a nice little community. We're a small little group of friends that have known each other for years. So I guess that would be my vision, is continue to work on partnerships within our little community to just help us all grow together.
Great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So you touched on the finance piece for a second, and I just maybe want to get into some thinking related to that. Obviously, the list of needs sometimes is greater than the amount of dollars available to it. So just think through it for a second, how you prioritize the many demands of it and versus kind of what's available. Talk just a little bit about how you might approach the finance piece.
Financing is absolutely difficult. Unless their funding is available, it is very hard to move and shift funds around, and I understand that. You're going to stump me here.
Yeah, well, and you kind of touched on it a little bit. Obviously, I think that this is not unique to Mishawaka. All school corporations wrestle with the amount of funding, and you did touch a little bit on the kind of the state connection there.
Right. Well, and I really think that's where it is we need to make sure that budget cuts aren't going to happen. We need to make sure that we're getting the proper funding through them for the right channels. I mean, from looking at some of the numbers, Mishawaka does spend a fair share amount on each student, and I was pleasantly surprised to be reading that, because that's what we actually want. We want to see that we're spending more on our students than other corporations around us. That means we're not doing so bad. Could we do better? I absolutely could. But again, it comes down to where the funding is coming from and where we can move it around to get it into the right hands and the right departments.
Great. As you're talking to kind of your neighbors, your friends, other moms who have kids in the school corporation, what's the general feeling about the corporation and its current direction? For
the most part, people are confused. I'll say that right off the bat. And a lot of it has to do with the whole COVID situation this year. Nobody really knows what we're doing going forward. And I feel that the consensus seems to be a lot of confusion. If these aren't parents that, again, like I said, are really keeping up to date, making the contacts, checking their emails, some of them really don't know what the next step is. So I think that's where we come down to as a general problem, is that parents still feel like they're not getting enough information. But again, as a parent, I see the emails, I see these texts, so I think it depends on who it is, to be honest. So I just try to make sure that any chance I have, I'm sharing the information, whether it be on social media, I'm telling all my friends, texting people, hey, did you see this? It's just a constant communication is what we really need to be concerned about right now. That's what people are upset about the most.
Right. Great. So,
Right.
elections are about choices, and Mishawaka residents will have a chance to choose amongst school board candidates. Tell them why Mellissa Johnson is who they should choose.
Okay, so I don't know that I'm the best one to choose. I really don't. After seeing the full names, I was like, oh man, there are some really good candidates. There really are. What I will say though is that I love what I do. I love volunteering for the schools. I love helping out. It's become a passion. I promised that I would actually do what is in the best interest of the most important aspects of our school. So I'm going to put our children first. I'm going to put our staff first. Their needs have to come at the very top if we want to all be successful together. And to me, that's the priority. I want to see everybody feel good and confident about coming to Mishawaka schools. Mishawaka schools they're fabulous schools in a small little community. I don't think we could ask for much more other than help each other out. Let's get together and make sure that we're communicating properly, that we're getting the information to those that need that information, and that we're sharing our ideas. We have great potential to move forward. We really do. But the best way to do that is by working together.
Great. Thank you, Mellissa. So folks who might be interested in learning more about your campaign, where would I send them to?
I do have a Facebook page. It is Mellissa K. Johnson at large. And I'm on there updating often, so they can get a hold of me through there if they have any questions. And I would love to hear ideas. To me, that's the biggest component of this is the chance to hear other people's ideas and their thoughts, because it just gets the topics going. It gives us talking points, and we get to figure out what the best way to play it actually is by working together.
Great. Well, thank you, Mellissa. Thank you again for being willing to seek the office. Thanks for all you're doing to try to improve education outcomes for kids in Mishawaka. Really grateful for you doing this. And thanks for spending some time with us this afternoon. Really appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I really love the opportunity.